So I'm new to TikTok and I really have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But I do realise that I said a couple of weeks ago that I was going to tell you more about my story, how I got involved with the cult IBLP and Bill Gothard. And I'm just about ready to show you the first part of my memoir. So I thought I'd better give a little bit of background, which is what I'm going to do here. The other thing is, someone said to me the other day when I was telling them about what I'm intending to do here on TikTok, and they said to me, "Don't you think it's time to move on from Bill Gothard?" And I've been thinking about that the last few days, because yes, I really, really want to move on from Bill Gothard. I really wish I could. But the thing is, it's a lifetime of undoing what I learned in that cult, what I was programmed to believe about myself, about the world, about God. It's probably not ever going to go away. It's always going to be a journey of undoing the things that I was taught and the things that he did to me. But yeah, I really wish that I could be here showing you how fabulous my life is and talking about my achievements. But instead, I'm here talking to you about Bill Gothard and how he interrupted my life and what has happened as a result of that. I was raised in a conservative Christian home until my family met Bill Gothard and the Institute on Basic Life Principles. But by that time, I had left school and I had been on the mission field with YWAM, or Youth with a Mission, and had studied communications briefly at the University of the Nations in Hawaii. And I had come home and I had a fabulous job as a copywriter at New Zealand's Christian radio station, Radio Rima. And right before I met Bill Gothard, I had been offered an apprenticeship with an advertising company, which was my dream job, my absolute dream job. It was what I wanted to do when I was at school, but I didn't think I had the brains or the grades to go and do journalism or some kind of university degree. So that's what I was doing when I met Bill Gothard. Now, how I met him was completely circumstantial because I was with my family at his seminar. They wanted me to go to it because I'd been overseas when he'd first come and I hadn't been there and done his 5-day seminar. So I agreed to do that with them, but they also wanted to talk to him about my sister going to have some experience and some time at his headquarters in Chicago. And they set up a meeting with him one night after one of the sessions, and I just happened to be tagging along with them to that. And I just remember following them up behind them as they walked up this really narrow, dark staircase to the top of the church building. And I think it used to be the nursery, and he was using it as a place to meet people and have interviews and conversations. And we sat across from him. It was the first time I'd really been up close to him. He's a short man, and he has, in spite of his age at the time, which was just on 60, very black hair. And he shook hands with all of us, we introduced ourselves to him, and we sat down across from him in the room, and my parents talked to him about my sister. And before he said anything about that, he just sits there nodding, listening. But before he said anything made sort of some sort of commitment or anything about her going there. He turns to me, and I'm sitting at the end of the row. You know, there's my sister, my mum, my dad, my brother. I'm sitting at the end of the row nearest the door, just listening. And he turns to me, and I guess before I go on, I kind of had noticed him through the interview, just looking at me out of the corner of his eye, kind of like that, you know. But then he turns and asks me a question. And he said, "Where do you work? What do you do?" And I replied, "Oh, I'm a copywriter and I work at the Christian radio station Radio Rema." And he suddenly said, "Oh no, we have to get you out of there. That is not a good place for a Christian girl to be working." And I kind of was like speechless, like I didn't know what to say. I was really confused by his response. I don't know what I said to him. I mean, I'd grown up with Christian music, Christian rock music. You know, who doesn't love a little bit of Amy Grant? So for him to say that Christian music was bad for me was really confusing. And he asked me some other questions about, you know, what I had done on the mission field and what I wanted out of life. And all I really wanted out of life was to be a writer and to fall in love, to find the love of my life. The next thing is he's offering me a all expenses paid trip to Chicago to come and work at his headquarters. And I had just left America a few months before from the YWAM University. And I thought, yeah, this could work for me. I've just been offered an apprenticeship. I could take a break over the summer, because it was our summer, over Christmas. I could take a break and then come back and start my new job in the new year, because I could just go over there for 3 months. So yeah, I was thinking, yeah, that could work. And then my dad's like, "Well, what about her sister?" And he says, "Oh, well, she can come along too." So somehow we found ourselves with airline tickets to America, and he wanted us to go straight away. But I was like, I have a job. I can't just up and leave. I have to give notice and all of that. So it was set for me to go over with my sister a couple of weeks after that meeting. And off we went to Chicago on an airplane paid by Bill.